I want to start with that big sort of number here. What have you seen for your Lunar New Year sales, and what has really driven this sort of spike?
Yeah, it's really unprecedented. I mean, we think that, number one, we're seeing a major preference for premium. Imax saw its greatest market share ever in the company's history. And what's most interesting is that market share was growing every single day from day one all the way to the last day. And so that preference for premium was really, really high. And obviously, premium means highest ticket prices in the market. But I think one of the most encouraging things that we've seen is, this is just a further example that last year's down market was really a result of film supply or lack of film supply. When the films are there, the audience is there. And the movie-going audience in China after this Chinese New Year has really proven to be fully back in force. And I think that there's a lot to come even post this holiday window.
So Daniel, let me follow up then. What is the pipeline then for films? Because to your point, that seems to be a big driver currently.
Well, I think, number one, the Chinese New Year titles are going to continue to play, really strong through the rest of February, and even possibly beyond. Typically, these higher quality films have very long legs, so I think we'll definitely see a pretty long tail there. And even looking into some of the other windows, like May holiday and summer, obviously release dates, haven't been confirmed for local language titles, but we're certainly seeing a lot more transparency into what that slate is looking like compared to last year. Just to let you know, we've got the highest number of film for IMAX local language Chinese titles in the market this year. And those are big budget movies that are shot on our certified cameras by the best directors in the country. So I think this is only the beginning of a lot of really positive momentum for the year.
How are tastes for Chinese moviegoers changing? I'm thinking both in terms of what it is that they want to see, but also how frequently and who it is that tends to be going to the cinema.
It's a great question. Number one, tastes are constantly changing, especially in China, just like every other sector of this economy. I mean, it changes so fast and so frequently. But I would say that, this Chinese New Year holiday, we still saw confirmation that big IP really does work. I mean, the Ne Zha first film did incredible numbers, both for IMAX as well as the industry. Number two, obviously, is surpassing that in a very big way. But I think the most important thing is we're seeing audiences with a more sophisticated and refined taste. I think the demand for quality has increased a lot, and that's also relevant in their preference over premium formats and higher quality experiences like with IMAX. So I think it's a good thing. It's a natural thing to see the elevation of production, storytelling, as well as audience preference just continue to go up.
And Daniel, the notion that, and I think you made a very good point earlier on, I like that insight, that this preference for premium showed up in the last few days or so. I'm wondering what insights you can glean, though, in terms of just the notion that consumers are spending in spots, for example, right? That can we be confident that they will continue to spend as much on aggregate, say per capita, going to theaters and watching movies, or is there a broader shift that's taking place that's not very visible if you just look at the last 10 days?
I think the demand for experiences is stronger than ever. And I think that area specifically is going to continue to grow. So when there's a big event, when there's a big movie, particularly younger audiences really are going to be very open to whatever is going to bring them the best possible experience, regardless of the price. So I think experience is key here. And again, we saw our highest numbers ever on an animated film, and that typically is not a film we would normally see our IMAX indexing highest, right? We've traditionally in the past few years done really well in action and sci-fi and those genres, but to see IMAX's performance on an animated film is really telling of the overall audience preference for premium, regardless of what that genre really is.
Right, but Daniel, the other part to the question too, and sorry if I wasn't clear on that too, are people still spending as much on going to movies as frequently as they once did?
Again, I think it's all about the movies. When the quality movies are there, they are going to show up. I don't know what the exact number is now, but I think even Ne Zha 2 saw 180 plus million people went and watched that movie over the course of 7 days. That number will likely surpass 200 million probably before the end of this weekend. So I think as long as the films are there, the audience is there.
Okay, Daniel, unprecedented response. That's your words there. What are your plans for Imax expansion in China this year?
Well, I think this has really been a great kickstart to all areas of our business. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more upgrades. We're going to certainly continue to do more films, both local language and Hollywood. The Hollywood slate looks really great. We've got Avatar 3 coming out, obviously Zootopia 2, and a whole host of other local language Chinese films. So, you know, growth is our main priority right now, and capitalizing on an incredible Chinese New Year is priority number one.
What's the CapEx spend you have in mind for this year, Daniel?
Well, I don't have a specific number in mind. I think we're highly focused on, you know, high PSA or per screen average territories. So, you know, we don't really give ourselves a CapEx number at the beginning of the year. We remain very opportunistic in where we expand. But, you know, content is key. And I think we're going to be really specific in choosing the right movies for the rest of the year.
Daniel, you touched there on Hollywood movies coming to China. I want to ask you how geopolitics is playing into the movie scene. How are tensions in Washington kind of falling out on the Hollywood offering and the Hollywood business in China?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, we're really fortunate to be in a fairly isolated sector, I would say. You know, we have seen really incredible openness in terms of policy domestically here on the mainland. You know, a lot of Hollywood films are getting in, and so that's kind of always been our regulatory sense, is what Hollywood films are going to be able to get in. As it is right now, I don't see that changing. The tone of, you know, the regulatory bureau here is that they want to continue to grow the film industry. They want to allow as many films as possible into the country, and so we continue to see that being the likely scenario for 2025.
Daniel, I know you guys might be in somewhat of a quiet period, but you know, I'll try to get it out of you. I think you had a very good first half of last year, calendar half. In dollar terms, do you guys think you crossed $1 million in revenue in 2024?
I can't speak to that because we haven't disclosed our year-end numbers. So I apologize, and I'm not able to speak to that. But you know, honestly, last year is just so far in the rearview mirror after the last 7 days that I don't even think it matters. I mean, I think last year, again, was a result. It was sort of a for the industry, it was a hangover of COVID. You know, the films that came out in 2024 were the result of a lot of smaller budgets, an uncertainty in 2023. There weren't a lot of film. You know, 2023, we exhausted a whole bunch of films that were sort of on the shelf in the previous 3 years. So 2024 was a real transitional year, and I think all eyes were on this past week to see, okay, we're past COVID, we're past the hangover, what does the future look like? And I think we saw a great example of that.